Good morning. Welcome to the morning edition of Captive Audience. I'm Suni Danforth. We all need to register to vote. Hey, I am pre-recording this because I'm filling in for Kevin today, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to get it done because I might be a little delayed tonight. So this just ensures we have a Captive Audience program. So yes, it is pre-recorded, and it's just thank you for all of our viewers to share like this and share this. You know, yesterday I was talking about registering to vote, and we just finished Roundup. And this morning I decided to wear this shirt. This was a gift to me. Register, show up, vote. Your voice matters. And actually, a friend of mine, one of our PCPs, Kathy, I've actually worn this on our program before. Um, anyway, she bought it for me, and I thought this morning I'm going to wear that, and that's what we're going to talk about. Some of what we're going to talk about, because we have about a month. Okay, October 15th is the deadline to register to vote for this very important election. And each one of us, no matter who you are, no matter what your party, each one of us can help people register to vote. You don't have to be certified on how to do it, but we all can help register people. So I thought this shirt, this is my inspiration today. And because it is what we need to do, this is actually how we change Oregon, is by getting more people to vote, registering them and educating them, and to encourage them to turn their ballot in. And we don't have to rely on the state party. You don't have to rely on your county party. Everybody can do this. Everybody and anybody. So I challenge everybody to get some voter registration forms. I carry English and Spanish in my car. Go over the form here in Oregon on how to register people. Read it and realize, and if you don't know, maybe I'll do a show on that. I'm not doing that today, but that could be maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But at the form in Oregon, it's pretty simple to fill out. Self-explanatory if you read the directions. You're going to put your name, your address, and your date of birth, and your driver's license. If you don't have one, there's a box to check, and you check the box. If you don't have a driver's license or an Oregon identification, you check the box, and you put the last four of your social. That's that part. You pick a party, you sign, and you date it. At the bottom of the form is the portion I don't have one here handy. I do too. I have one right here. Because you can go, I'll tell you where you go to get one. This is an Oregon registration, voter registration form. You print it right from the Secretary of State's website. Okay. And it has the directions here, tells you, and then you can mail it to your county, and on the back side it has all the counties listed. Actually, this was one of my bad prints because it doesn't have that information. Full disclosure. And anyway, on the bottom portion of this, down here, is where you would, if you've moved, if you've gotten married, if you've moved within the state, or if you moved to Oregon, you fill this bottom portion out here for where you used to live and your previous name. And every time you move in Oregon, you must fill out one of these. And while we were at the roundup, a woman came up and said, I just changed apartments. I said, yes, you have to re-register. She's in the same apartment complex and ends up, she was in a different building and a different unit, of course, right? And so, yes, every time you move, I don't care where, you must change your voter registration. And that's where you do it here, because this is the section that they would remove you, are supposed to. Unfortunately, in Oregon, they are deeming people inactive, is what I see. And they are to remove you from the voter rolls, from the state that you moved from. The Oregon elections is supposed to notify the state if you've moved from another state. And you cannot rely on, well, I filled out a thing when I moved, I got this vote, change your address and all that. No, you need to do this. This is the form. Because I'm speaking from experience of talking to so many voters. This last, when we did the fair, we got 54 voter registrations. When we did roundup in 2 days, we got 10. I don't know the count. I don't remember the count. I'm going to say like 5 in the first 2 days. But I know that we turned in 10 for Friday and Saturday. And so the experience is having all these conversations with people about how they need to change their voter registration. So today I was looking around, and True the Vote is a fabulous website. And in True the Vote, that's Catherine Engelbrecht. I'm going to, I can't do that. So you're not going to get any links. But if you go to truethevote.org, there's no place for me to post a link when I'm pre-recording. So that's the deal. Go there, and they're under their category of a newsletter, under news. They have latest news and different newsletters. They have one that says, so you think you're registered to vote. Click on that. Anybody can do this anywhere. This is not Oregon, anybody anywhere, nationwide. And when you click on that, this newsletter, they have a link. It says, hey, friend, have you registered to vote? If not, read on. And there's a link that's called scan.check.protect. And you can click on that link. You can check your voter registration there from any state. You can see if you are registered from a place a state that you moved from. And I've done this. I moved to Oregon from Hawaii. I'm not registered to vote in Hawaii, I can tell you. And I've lived in several states. I'm not going to give you my whole history, but I've lived in several states along with outside the country for 16 years. So we have on that, you can check your voter registration. So I clicked on that link, and there's a map of the United States. I clicked Oregon. Well, I clicked Hawaii too, and I checked there. And I'm not. And then in Oregon, it has, you can check the registration, party info, election info. You can report fraud even. So there's voter registration requirements, get registered, am I registered, remove my registration, and track my mail-in ballot. So this is a place and the links take you right to the Oregon Secretary of State. I tried it. So I clicked on, am I registered? Took me right to the Oregon Secretary of State, My Vote. Go to My Vote Now. And this is a fabulous tool. Anybody can do it. And this paper form that I showed you, that anybody can print out. You don't have to go to the county elections, or you don't have to go to the post office or DMV to get these forms. You can print it yourself. Go to the Secretary of State website, go to elections, and go to register to vote. And on that page of registering to vote, instead of doing it online, which is the worst way to do, there is a link to print a voter registration. And that's where you do. You print this on regular paper and just fold it in half, because you only have to fill out this side, and then sign and date it and turn it in. You can help people register to vote. You can help people check their voter registration if they don't know. And everybody should be checking their voter registration status, because experience again, talking to a lot of people, there's people that they go, well, I didn't get a ballot, or my ballot I'm not registered to my party. How did that happen? Well, I don't know. I have suspicions. I can tell you that somebody was talking with me yesterday that we're working on a project here in Umatilla County, and this person their voter registration, they received, I'll tell you what it is. This person lives in Washington State, and they received a ballot in Washington and received a ballot in Oregon. That's not supposed to happen. And their ballot, an Oregon ballot, was mailed to Washington State. This is not supposed to happen at all. So come to find out, it was done at DMV, because we've checked the records, and it was done at DMV. This person is helping us to look into what happened, why they receive that. Well, there's not just one. There's two. Two have been found the very same way. And I alluded to this last night. I said that we're working on a project. And so all of us should be checking voter registrations, our status, and helping people to check their status. It's so easy. You can do it right from your phone. And you can do it right from somebody else's phone. You go to a Secretary of State, or you can go to the True the Vote. Okay, you can go to True the Vote website and do this. So you think you're registered to vote. It's so simple. I think vote.org is another one. But you don't want to register electronically. And the reason I say that is they would be looking at, if you've previously registered, they have what your voter signature looks like. But if you signed at DMV, and I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, and if you're involved in your state, in your county party, you've probably talked to people like this too, that when you sign at DMV, you sign with your finger. When you get your ballot, you put pen to paper. They do not match. So then your ballot gets rejected, as you can fix it, but you'll get a notice in the mail that says, hey, your signature didn't match. You now have to go down to the county elections, wherever you are, however far away that is, to sign a card, and your ballot will then be accepted. But many people will not cure their ballot. Many. They go, I've already voted. Oh, the deadline is already passed. And we in Umatilla County, we chase these ballots that have signature issues to help people's ballots to count. But we can, this is something to do ahead of time. If you're a newly registered voter, I'll tell you, when I talk to the young people and I said, "Did you fill out a paper form?" "No." I said, "Here, just do it again." Because your signing with your finger will not count. And actually, I just learned this I learned this from somebody else and a member of our Republican Women Club. And just on actually Saturday, that when she went to DMV, they said, "Sign here with your finger." She said, "I'm not doing it. Give me a paper form. You have a paper form." So sure enough, she signed a paper form. So you do not have to sign with your finger. But most people just go along to get along. They don't know. They don't challenge the electronic system. Much like, well, this is a rabbit trail, but I'm going to take it anyway. If you are flying, they say, "Oh, here, we're going to smile for the camera." Say, "No, I'm not doing that." You don't have to. You don't have to be part of their facial recognition at the airport. But that when you go through the security to get onto the plane, to go to your boarding gate, I have noticed there was only one sign. I fly often, fairly often. And there was only one sign that said, "You do not have to have your picture taken for the facial recognition." Only one sign. They have many signs that say, "Are you carrying all this stuff? Batteries and explosives and lighters and knives and all that." Many of those. Or "Dump your liquids," many of those. But they only have one sign that says, "You do not have to do that." They want compliance. You don't have to. You don't have to be part of that. So anyway, that's that rabbit trail. But so with voter registration, if you go to DMV, you can tell them, "No, I want a paper form. I'll sign on a paper form." And to finish up your getting your driver's license and all of that. But the best thing to do is to put pen to paper on a voter registration form. It's too easy. Takes you 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Then when the county elections get this form, they date stamp it when they've received it, and then they scan it into the system. And you can, one of our PCP says, "I take a picture of how you signed it. That way you know when you get your ballot what your signature looked like." I recommend sign it the way you sign all your signatures. Many people have different signatures. One for just everyday anything, one for official documents. Well, this is an official document. And if you have different signatures, you have to keep that in mind. You just need to sign how you normally sign, and then it makes it super easy. So I just kind of wanted to cover some of that today, and because we have, again, until October 15th to help everybody get registered to vote. So what do you think? I think we all need to do it. So you can print some out, put some in your car, and have a conversation. Have a conversation with everybody. "Hey, are you voting?" Or you can just ask them, "Hey, are you planning on voting? Are you registered to vote?" Simple question. It's nonpartisan. Also, on this True the Vote was interesting. They have a way that you can be involved. You know what? They have things of saying, maybe you want to set up a booth. What you can do, and you can actually set up a voter registration booth. You can do that in any public area. Outside of the post office is really good, especially on Mondays and Fridays. Outside the post office, you can just have a sign, print a little sign. They even show you a picture of what they've got: volunteer with True the Vote, scan, check, and protect. And you can just ask people, have the form there and say, hey, are you registered to vote? Help people, because this is truly how we turn Oregon around. And by voting is how we help the nation as well. But we have to vote in Oregon. We need to do all we can to get people to register. And I've heard through the years of my involvement in county and state politics, I've heard people say, oh, this is an off year. You know what? We have elections every year. Every dang election is important. This is the most important. But truly, even though I say that, it isn't. Every election is important. This election right now coming up is important because this is about saving our nation. But it's also about saving our state. We're electing the attorney general, electing our representatives. And some go, oh, I don't like that one. I'm not voting for him. Well, do you want the Democrat? Yeah, I'm Republican. I'm going to vote for the Republicans. I don't want a Democrat. So if you're hearing that nonsense, you're hanging out with the wrong people. And the primary is where the person is chosen to be elevated to the November election by the parties. That's where your choice is. Once you get to November, the choice is pretty much made for you. Check the damn box. Because we need the Republicans elected, whether you like them or not. Oh yeah, there's some that I don't like, definitely, that need to be replaced. You bet. But you know what? I'll take that one over the Democrat. Think about it. Get your head screwed on. So, okay, enough about that. Now, talking about elections, what is it that Oregon leaders are saying about the DMV error that registered 300 non-citizens? I think it's a lot more. And so many of them are appalled, and they're saying, no way, you better tell us what's going on and give a report. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Oregon Measure 118 is an aggressive sales tax and worse. So there is a story, I go to Oregon Watchdog and get a whole list of articles on there, and it's awful. This Measure 118 is awful. And thankfully, there's a lot of people fighting that. But what we need is Measure 117 killed. Remember, that's ranked choice voting. And so I'm going to talk about ranked choice voting a little bit, because as a way of explaining what is ranked choice voting, well, you must rank the candidates and you know what? I might not have everything absolutely perfect, but I'm going to explain it as I understand ranked choice voting. Right now in Oregon, we have one vote. One person you pick one person, you vote once, and majority wins. 50% plus one. That's how it is. If ranked choice voting passes, let's say we have 5 candidates for governor. These 5 candidates for governor, you must rank all of them. And on the ballot, their party will not be on there. It'll just be a name. They've written the language. Yes, Oregon has written the language already. You can go to the Secretary of State elections, you can look up the election code, and all of it is there. It's not enacted, but it's all there. So you have to rank all the candidates. They've written it this very same way as Alaska. The party will not be there. The names will be. And if you say, heck with it, I'm only going to vote for one, just like I've always done, your ballot would be invalidated. How do you like that? Okay, so we have 5 governor candidates. You rank them in your choice of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of this goes to Salem to figure it out, because the counties won't be able to tally how that is. All of it goes to Salem. Then they tally, it's going to cost millions of dollars. Trust me, it will cost millions of dollars for computer equipment to figure this out. Then the one with the least amount of votes is removed. And the others are the votes that were for this person that was removed are redistributed to the other candidates. Redistributed to the other candidates. By what formula? That I do not know. I have no clue what formula. And nobody wins majority, still takes 50% plus 1. Then the next lowest vote getter is removed, and the votes are redistributed to this. So you end up with somebody winning that maybe got 12% of the statewide vote. This is ranked choice voting in a nutshell. Absolutely in a nutshell. And it is, and if you've got 45 candidates, we had 19 originally for president. Then it would be a runoff. There would be more voting, I am sure. I don't know all of that, but eventually they will narrow it down to some. Let's say they didn't. Let's say you had to vote for all 19. So now you have a person getting elected to be your nominee for president, because ranked choice voting is for federal and statewide races, as the bill is written now, but counties and cities can opt in. I recommend you all get your cities and counties to opt out now in case this passes. Of course, it won't take effect immediately. It would take effect in 2028. And I will tell you, on Sunday, I watched Steve Dunn's program, Your Voice, Your Vote, on Sunday. And they had 2 people talking about ranked choice voting. And this redistribution of votes, they had a graph. They didn't talk about it, but they had a graph that showed a person getting eliminated and then the others getting some vote. They didn't explain how the ratio is. So we have to educate people about ranked choice voting and tell them vote no on Measure 117. Vote no on Measure 118. So we've got to kill this bill. And it's going to take all of us doing this. It's going to take all of us to talk to our family, friends, and neighbors, vote no, and educating people on what it is, because they're not going to know. There's a certain element of voters, the uneducated voters out there that choose not to be educated, that go, oh yeah, that sounds good. Vote yes. They don't know anything and they vote for it. This is how we got Measure 110. Don't forget. It's how we got Measure 110. Oh, this just makes it everybody gets to vote. In fact, on Your Voice, Your Vote, the fellow ended up saying what it is it's going to help you get people elected that look like you. You know what? I don't want people elected that look like me. I want the person that's most qualified and the person that gets the most votes, not redistributed votes. I want the person who gets the most votes, actual votes, to win and hold office. Let's have merit-based. Trust me, this is not what you want in Oregon at all. Okay, that's my bit about voting and register to vote and the bills and all of that. I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about. This article I kind of thought was pretty good. It is on Measure 118, and a think tank that I've never heard of, Common Sense Institute, which, there's lots to know. So this is an article out of the Willamette Week, and it says another think tank pans the proposed Oregon rebate. And relying on a former state economist, the Common Sense Institute says the large corporate Measure 118 won't deliver promised benefits. In fact, it says, and this is a gross receipts. It's a 3% tax on businesses that do $25 million worth of business in Oregon. It's a gross receipts tax on corporations with Oregon sales of 25 million a year. And it says if it's fully implemented, it is estimated that this report would be a seismic change to Oregon's tax structure. And when fully implemented, it is estimated that this change would result in a 6-fold increase in corporate tax payments. Not only would corporate tax liability swell, but the proposal would also change the distribution of tax burdens dramatically. In the current system, the vast majority of the tax liability is generated by taxing profits. Yes, profits. After they've paid their rent, their taxes, their employees, their insurance. But Measure 118 will not do that. It's all gross receipts tax, and it is awful. So the proponent of this measure says it would generate $7 billion a year. And you could then get a check. It's a carrot and a stick. You would then get a check for maybe $1,600 a year. I bet it's not. The original bill said $760 a year. Now they're upping it, of course. Oh my God, free money. Nothing's free. No free lunch whatsoever. So we don't want it, okay? I just wanted to pound that home again. So some of the findings on that, well, no, I'm just gonna, Lars Larson said, and I really like this, and this is from the Oregon Catalyst. Lars Larson says teachers should ban politics in the class. And you know what? They should. Parents and students have abandoned government-run schools in droves in the last few years. And it's because they're shoving gender and politics down your throat. You must have, teachers are putting pride flags in their classes. The only flag that should be in a classroom is the American flag, period. That's it. That's the only one that should be in there. So, anyway, you need to not have politics in school. We need to be talking about the civic duty of voting, though, in high school. Let's talk about civics. So I like that. Lars is doing a great job. A great story that was actually yesterday. I didn't notice it until today. Well, I did. I mentioned it, but the tribes now, the Southern Oregon tribes, have filed a lawsuit against the federal government in an effort to delay an upcoming floating offshore wind lease auction off the Oregon coast. So Friday, the Confederated Tribes of the Coos, the Lower Umpqua, the Swislaw, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Indians filed a lawsuit. And I'm glad. I'm so glad, because it is ludicrous having this off the Oregon coast. You know how we've got some of the most massive storms that come across here. And as I mentioned last week, maybe it was the week before, this little picture of a floating wind turbine with just a little bit down, and then you've got this gigantic thing. Picture a 747 on a stick up in the air, on a stick up in the air. Yeah, it's not going to work. It's a disaster, and it's an economic disaster because it will affect the fisheries. These things are full of oil, and they all leak. They all leak oil. And it's awful. It's awful. And where do you think that oil will go? It'll go in the oceans. When they topple over, it'll go in the oceans. So it's nothing we want. There is another story is Intel is going to split factories into independent subsidiaries and delay plants in Europe and Asia. So it said this on Monday. It will turn its factories into an independent subsidiary with its own board of directors, a historic step that opens the door to severing the company into two pieces: a semiconductor manufacturing business and a separate organization to design computer chips. And the good news is, you remember the Thompson Elk fountain that was allowed to be destroyed? They removed the elk with the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter people. They defaced it. Well, Portland is looking to approve restoration of the iconic Thompson Elk fountain. And it never should have been destroyed, and they never should have removed the elk from there. You give in to this, and then you pay to redo it. So, it was, they say, racial justice protests. It was just protests and violent protests. That's where Andy Ngo was attacked. So Portland is poised to award a $1.8 million contract to restore the city's Thompson Elk Fountain 4 years after its iconic 120-year-old elk statue was removed. So that's great. That's great. I'm glad that they're doing that. They should. And I'm not one for statues being defaced and replaced. And so, hey, everybody, have a good night. Thank you so much. Have a great day, actually, since this is morning. I'm used to saying have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Hello.